What's going on, guys? I'm Cliff Jantz, and this is It Any Good? Uh, I finally had a chance to sit down and start writing some of my top 10 lists for the past year. So I'm going to start off with my disappointments of 2019. Now, these are movies that I don't necessarily, some of them I don't necessarily think are bad movies. They just weren't as good as I wanted them to be, or I was expecting something different out of them. Now, some of them are also going to be probably on my worst of 2019 list as well. Um, but let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, I'm kind of cheating with this one because it's about four different movies, but it's the Stephen King adaptations of the year. Uh, Into the Tall Grass, it was just a very bland movie. You don't care about any of the characters. The story's kind of like all over the place. And then when it was over, I was kind of left with a feeling, what the hell did I just watch? Pet Cemetery. This movie was very, very boring to me. Like, not a lot happens. Most of the scares that they show you in the movie are all in the trailers. And it just didn't have an impact that I'd expect to feel from a Stephen King adaptation. Doctor Sleep. Now, a lot of people enjoyed this movie, and I think it's a good movie. My problems with it are just simply the fact that whenever there's a lot of stuff from the book that I was really wanting to see in this movie that didn't come through, and in the end, it left me a little disappointed. I'm probably still gonna buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray, but like all the actors do a phenomenal job in this movie. It was just stuff from the book that I was looking forward to see move put in this picture. Sorry, and it just didn't happen. So it left me a little disappointed. It Chapter 2. This movie's filled with a lot of really great scenes. Bill Skarsgård is fantastic as Pennywise. He's not in it nearly as much as I wanted him to be. All the other performances are great, including Bill Hader as Richie. He knocks it out of the park. He's one of the reasons this movie is rewatchable. But in the end, they just tried to do too much, I think. There were these flashback scenes, and it was just like, okay, what was the point of the first movie if you're going to also go back and forth between them being adults and kids? You should have just done that way from the beginning with both movies. I was looking forward to a very more adult-centric story here instead of them going back and forth. So it just left me a little disappointed. I bought it when it came out on Blu-ray, so I still thought it was a great movie, or a good movie. Coming in at number 9 is Yesterday. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I was very excited. It looked like an original idea with a soundtrack filled with Beatles songs. But in the end, when I finally saw this movie, it was just kind of forgettable. I mean, there's not a lot to it. The pacing of the story is kind of all over the place. I thought the performances were pretty good. It just didn't have the heart that I was kind of hoping to feel that I got from the trailers for this one. Coming in at number 8 is a DC animated movie. It's Batman Hush. So I'm sure a lot of people probably haven't seen this since it didn't come to the theater. It went straight to DVD and Blu-ray. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Batman fan. And this story is probably my second favorite graphic novel, right behind Batman The Long Halloween. But what they did is they combined this graphic novel that's in two parts into like an 80-minute movie. And it just felt rushed, cramped. I don't know why they did it this way. I mean, they made, I don't know if y'all can hear that. Plane's flying over me right now. But they made The Dark Knight Returns into two movies. I don't know why they didn't do it with this one. They also made several changes to the story that I didn't agree with. The twist at the end didn't have the same impact that the twist in the graphic novel did. And it was just a very disappointing adaptation. Number 7 is Glass. I greatly enjoyed both Unbreakable and Split. And when they had David Dunn show up at the end of Split, I was very excited to kind of see this movie, see a kind of a clash of this villain that they created in Split and the hero that they created in Unbreakable, kind of an M. Night Shyamalan comic book movie that had worked with both these other movies. But in the end, the first 2/3 of this movie are both great. The first act feels just like a sequel to Unbreakable. The second act kind of gets into the psychology of what has the feel of Split, so it kind of you get this sequel to both movies that works very well. And then in the third act, it just kind of falls apart. It's they try to put too much in, falls flat. In the last 15 minutes, I think we got like 5 different plot twists, and it was just too much. And in the end, it was just sad to see the story that had worked well for 2 movies, and most of this movie just have the end that it had. Coming in at number 6, we're going to jump into Terminator Dark Fate. Now, while I did enjoy this movie as an action movie, it had some really cool action sequences. The special effects were awesome. But in the end, it's a part of a bigger franchise, and it was just kind of disappointing what they did with one of the legacy characters of this franchise in the first 10 minutes. It kind of made it to where the first 2 movies meant nothing, because he's, it's the whole point of saving this one character for those first 2 movies, and the 10 minutes of this, it's like, yeah, never mind, we're going in a different direction now. And it's like, if it had just been by itself, it would have been a decent movie, but it's part of a bigger franchise, so I kind of had to judge it on that. Coming in at number 5 is Captain Marvel. I'm a huge fan of the MCU. All of these movies have always been, most of them have been good. I mean, even the bad ones aren't so bad that you can't watch them again, with the exception of maybe Thor, The Dark World, or in my opinion, Iron Man 3. But this one was just a very bland movie. Captain Marvel wasn't very likable. The way Brie Larson played her, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but she was just not a very likable character. This movie does have a lot of good in it. And also, too, I think this movie was just placed in between 2 of the biggest Marvel events that have happened in the last 11 years. It's in between Infinity War and Endgame. So it just makes it kind of a forgettable Marvel movie. Going in at number 4 is Men in Black International. The first Men in Black is a sci-fi comedy classic. It's a great movie. Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones have great chemistry. And this one, the trailers kind of made my excitement for it go up and down. I think the last trailer got me really excited for it, though. And then I went to see it. It's just a movie filled with terrible villains, a plot twist that you figured out when you saw the trailer. And then even the chemistry between Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth is nowhere near as good as it was in Thor Ragnarok. Number 3 is Hellboy. I was very excited when I saw the first trailer for this movie. It looked like something that they were going to try to do something different. David Harbour, he's Hopper from Stranger Things, was playing the title character, and I was very excited to see it. But when I went and saw it, it just felt like a movie that was trying too hard to be different, but it kind of failed and wasn't different enough. I mean, like even the monsters look like Guillermo del Toro style monsters. It just felt like a bad copy, filled with unnecessary gore. Coming in at number 2, speaking of gore, Brightburn. Here we go, an idea for a movie that's asked the question, what if Superman was evil? It seems like a good idea. To me, it was not. What I wanted to see with this movie was kind of like what they did with Joker. That shows this kid with superpowers kind of being beaten down by society, getting made fun of a lot, and then kind of seeing a slow descent into madness. And what I got was a spaceship sends him a signal, and all of a sudden he needs to conquer the world. So it was a story that they sacrificed story to get right into the gore that of Superman was evil, that they get right into showing that. So it was just a rush story that had no really true ending, and it was just gore for the sake of gore. It was very disappointing. But my number 1 disappointment of the year, The Lion King. This movie was high up on my anticipated movies list last year for this year. I think it was number 2. The animated movie is my all-time favorite Disney movie. But what we got here was just a soulish, shot-for-shot cash grab. They couldn't even get the songs to translate well over into this movie. The main one, Be Prepared. I was looking forward to seeing a live-action version of Be Prepared with the hyenas and Scar, and it was just such a disappointment. They just couldn't get the animals to show emotion, which they did with Jungle Book, so I don't know why it didn't translate over here. But in the end, when I left the theater, I was very disappointed with what I saw. But that's my list of the disappointments of 2019. If you guys have some disappointments, if I didn't mention a movie that you found disappointed, let me know in the comments down below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Cliff Chance. This is It Any Good? Thank you.